on, guys? Welcome back to the Leave It to the Judges MMA show. I'm with the boys, Xavier and Nicholas. And today, guys, we are going to be covering the next five or so cards. We're going to be going over their main event and co-main event, just previewing how excited we are for them. We're going to have bigger breakdowns for the pay-per-views, but we're going to go from January 11th, which is Dern versus Ribas 2, all the way to February 22nd, which is Cejudo versus Song Yadong. Like I said, we're going to cover the main and co-main events, guys. We're going to start this Saturday, actually. The UFC is back with a banger. We got Dern versus Ribas 2, a much needed rematch. What are you guys' thoughts on the first fight card of the year?
To be honest, I'm a bit underwhelmed. Now the main event is not like by itself a bad fight. Um, it kind of seems more co-main to me anyway. Like it should maybe be at the co-main of this card, and maybe we should have a slightly heavier hitting main event. I feel like, but they can't always be winners. I would expect the UFC to kind of like, especially when there's been such a drought. Like I think it's been like 3 weeks or so with no MMA. I would think that they would come back with a little bit more of a bang than this, but fine fight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's some decent fights on this card. Uh, I agree. I'd rather see like Chris Curtis and Kopylov in the main event, to be honest.
Five rounder. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be way more interesting than a. And Ed, I loved that sarcastic, oh, this is a big rematch. We all know it's not a big. I didn't even know there was a first fight. Like, I mean, that's how
Come on.
known this second fight was. So, it's an interesting matchup, I'll say, because they haven't fought since 2019, I believe.
Yep, October 12th, 2019.
My birthday, wow.
Oh wow. Happy
But
fucking birthday, Clark.
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a whatever card to start off the year, which kind of stinks, but the UFC kind of does this a lot. Kind of throw a stinker card to start the year.
They
Uh,
got to throw the Apex card in there. Yeah, but Dern, Ribas won the first fight by unanimous decision. Really quickly, guys, we'll give a quick prediction. Just who do you guys think is going to win? I think I would take Dern in the rematch. Based on how they've looked recently,
mm, it's a tough one, honestly. Well, is Ribas coming down in weight right now?
I don't think so.
Uh,
I mean, Dern did just like etch out Loopy, and I am high on Loopy, to be fair. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like with Dern, the same questions are always there. Like, well, how is it gonna look if she can't get her grappling going? And like,
Yeah.
I kind of expect her to be able to like get her grappling going in this fight, but like if she can't, I just don't know if she wins a 3 round decision without it. So I'm
uh,
gonna tentatively guess that she pulls this out, but I'm not confident.
yeah, lost Andrade, Lemos. Then she beat Loopy. He's on a good streak. Hmm. I don't know. It's one of these ones, kind of a toss up. I'd probably, I'd probably lean Rebus because I think she's a better fighter than Loopy. And a lot of Dern's losses are against the top eight ranked fighters mostly.
Okay. Who do
Oh,
we got in the co-main?
hmm.
Ponzinibbio versus Carlston Harris, who I think he got knocked out by Chaos last time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ponzinibbio should win this fight, but he's looked so bad coming into it. His
Yeah.
chin is gone.
It's gone. It's
How
gone.
old is he? 30, well, 38. Harris is 37. Ugh. This is one of those ones I'd hate to pick, like, again. Like, I would stay away from these if I was a betting man, y'all. I would be looking at the rounds over all day. 'Cause these are going decisions, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Uh,
for
I'd
me,
probably lean Ponzinibbio, but like kind of just a dart at the board type of thing.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. I'm gonna take Ponzinibbio with like very little confidence, just because his chin might be just cooked, and like high key, this is a battle of two old heads, but like Carlston Harris is like less shop worn, I feel like, than Ponzinibbio, or at least it seems. Like Ponzinibbio has like a stronger strength of schedule for sure, but like he is so just like done and cooked, I feel like. So I feel like this is one of the like few matchups that like he should still win though, just because like I feel like this is the UFC kind of giving him one of those like if you can't win this one, then you might be cooked kind of.
Yeah. And people forget like Ponzinibbio was raw back in the day. I'm pretty sure he had a terrible injury that kind of just derailed his whole career, and he has not been the same since. But he used to be a low-key title challenger. But let's move on, guys. First pay-per-view of the year. We're not going to get too in-depth in this because we have a video coming out soon. But UFC 311, Marab, Umar, Islam Arman,
Hmm.
absolutely banger. Um, who do you guys think has a bigger chance of upsetting here? Armin over Islam or Marab over Umar?
I think Marab over Umar.
Yeah, I
I
would
might.
agree.
mm,
Just because like we know that Arman does not have 5 round grappling cardio, and like Charles ended their last 3 rounder and like having him in a submission, like,
that's true.
and that in a fight that like he was dictating a lot of the pace even so, and getting a lot of control time. So I don't see him securing Islam on the ground ever in that fight. Even if like for some reason he gets him down real quick early, I don't think that like he wins sustained grappling exchanges with Islam. And then I also just don't think that, I mean, he'll have his kicks early, but then I think that once those kicks slow down, I don't know how much offense he can kind of offer Islam. So I just feel like that is just like Islam is just like a tailor-made bad matchup for Arman. And I think that like for all of Nurmagomedov's skill in the striking and like grappling, obviously with his last name being what it is, like the one thing that like I don't think of him as is like a complete cardio merchant. And like I could see a world, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I could see a world where at least Marab has, in rounds 4 and 5, uh a significant cardio advantage and can just kind of like make that fight really interesting down the stretch. I think that when they're fresh, though, Umar should be able to pick him apart on the feet and like do enough to keep him off. But I just think that because of Marab's crazy cardio, I have to give him the slight better chance, like than Arman for sure. Even
Yeah,
though, to be fair, I don't like either of their chances, to be honest.
yeah, I would agree with all that. I would also say just off their last fights, even. I mean, Arman's fight was very close to Oliveira. I mean, it was even a split decision. And Marab, I mean, he beat the champion in Sean O'Malley, who I thought was going to KO him. Looked decent on the feet, looked very dominant, like almost the whole fight. I just feel like he definitely is the fighter that could take out Umar right now. Like, I don't see anyone else beating Umar besides Marab. And I don't see it the same way as Armin. I think, well, I don't think any of them really have a chance against Khabib or Islam, but
Uh,
others could at least like challenge in the same aspect. And I just think it's a terrible matchup for Armin. Like, I feel like the only way he would win is push a grueling pace where he just pins Islam somehow against the cage and just does a foot stomp party. just grinding against the cage. Like that's the only way I see it. Because like if they're in open space, I just feel like they're very even on the feet. I even would say Islam is has more techniques in his arsenal than Armin does. He really only throws the straights and high kick. Um, I just I, I think a lot of Armin's game is just grinding on guys and getting the takedown, and I just don't see how that's possible in his fight. And I even watched the first fight back. I don't think it was that close. Like, I think Islam clearly won that fight very handedly, and it's kind of the same thing as, when Izzy fought Vettori the second time. Everyone was like, "Oh, that first fight was very close." I go back and watch it. Obviously, Vettori won the last round through the grappling, but like Izzy was whooping his ass the first two rounds. It wasn't close. Like that wasn't a split decision. So I feel like some people are giving Armin more of a chance because of the first fight, but it wasn't that close. And I mean, they're both so much better now, but like Islam's like,
I think that like yeah, that was one thing I was about to just touch on real quick. Is just the fact that like in theory, like you would think that because that was Arman's debut, that he would have made like more strides by now to kind of bridge the gap a little bit between them. But to be honest, I think Islam is like leaps and bounds better than he was at that fight. And like I think that Arman is like he's better, but like incrementally. Like he doesn't how many new tools did he add? Like how much better did his cardio get? Like not that much better. So I mean I still see the same issues with Arman. So yeah, I think that Islam has rounded out his game really nicely, especially with the striking by now.
muted it.
Yeah,
You guys hear me?
yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I do think it'll be a very competitive fight. I think he's one of the better matchups for him in the division, but I don't think anyone beats Islam. But I think the difference is going to be just as the fight goes on, the cardio and the striking, just the different levels of skill. I think Islam's a much better striker than Armin. I think he has more power, more pop. So yeah, I'm gonna rock with. I agree with you guys. I agree. But let's move on to I mean, honestly, one of the best fight nights we've ever seen, a main event and co-main event. We got Izzy versus Imanov, and in the co-main, we got Shara Bullet versus MVP Michael Venom Page. I want to start with the co-main here. This fight is sick. It's a stand-up lover's dream. We got two guys who would never dare shoot a takedown on each other. It's going to be a war on the feet. I'm very torn on this. Obviously, the momentum is in Shara's favor, but like MVP doesn't lose stand-up fights,
I
so
know
I,
who
I
I'm
don't know.
I know who I'm picking, Ed.
Someone sway me.
I'm not gonna lie.
Rumbling MVP takes out Shara Bullet. I like Shara Bullet. I think he's a very good stand-up fighter, but I don't. He has not fought a guy like MVP coming in here. And if you're gonna play a kickboxing game with MVP, all of his experience, let me look at the reach real quick. 79, a 6-inch reach gap for MVP. I think that's huge. I don't think there'll be any takedowns in this fight. Both of them are very accurate. I will say Shara might have the slight power edge, like the very slightest.
Hmm.
But I just feel like MVP, he's a crafty vet. He's seen it all. I think he beat, and Shara Bullet's undefeated, but I feel like this is MVP's fight. I think it is.
I thought that that was gonna be like a dissenter, honestly, but I thought like, man, I thought that like you guys were all gonna be on the Char Bullet train, but I have to agree with you. I think I'm gonna take MVP in this. I think that MVP is a sniper, as we've seen against Buckley. He has a very like very quick like dart in, dart out, like one shot style. And I think that like for as good as he is, like not having his eye definitely has to leave some type of like deficiencies in his defenses.
Mhm.
And he has proven to be hittable. And I think that if you've proven to be hittable against these lower level guys that he's been fighting, MVP can definitely crack you. Um, on top of that, he doesn't seem to have the best cardio. Like, to be quite honest, in his last fight, I was kind of worried that he might lose it. Up until the double spinning backfish, which was awesome, and it kind of like made us forget that like that was a really competitive fight. Um, a fight that he was like really struggling in against Petrosian. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if Petrosian can outstrike you for like not the whole time, but at least for like bits of the fight. I think the MVP with his experience, 5 round experience and cardio, I think that at some point he finds some the harder shots on Chara and like just steals the rounds. Even though I think it will be competitive throughout, but
Okay.
I don't
I,
think he gets top class, but yeah.
I guess you guys swayed me. Yeah, I don't know. MVP is just so elusive on the feet. But let's move on to the main event. We got Izzy versus Imanov. Contender Izzy is back. First time I don't even know when's the last time he wasn't in a title fight. This is an interesting one. I'm personally gonna lean with Izzy, but I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on this one.
Um yeah, I'm gonna lean with Izzy as well. Um Even though he somehow just fell apart against Dricus in his last fight, up until that point I thought he was winning the fight, fighting good. Um Taking him apart kind of. Um, it seemed like the Izzy of old to me.
We just got caught.
I also, yeah, he just got caught. And plus, like Dricus has magical juju powers to just like clutch up wins with his shitty fighting style. But
Yes. Champion.
yeah, um, but yeah, I thought Izzy looked good. I'm not ready to close the book on him and say that like he can't beat a Mavov level fighter. Um, and to be just quite honest with you, like I think that not fighting in a title fight for once is just gonna kind of like let some pressure off him. I think that when you've been at the top for so long, sometimes the crown gets heavy, and like now I think he can kind of just get back. Like he's lost a few times, so he doesn't have that like aura of invincibility thing. He has to kind of like protect. Which I would say, even though he took a few losses, I don't think that the loss when he lost to Yang when he went up in weight and kind of got like blanketed. Like I don't think that that damaged his stock too much. And then like Poetan, we see like that man's a monster, so I don't think that one damaged his stock too much. And then you know, so I just think that like with all these losses, kind of, it's like now I think that people don't look at Izzy as being in like unbeatable anymore. And I think that that like takes a lot of pressure off of a fighter like that. Like now he can just be free, fight his fight, and just like let the chips fall where they may. And I think that more often than not, it's probably still going to fall his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm rolling Izzy as well. I just think I don't know. Sometimes when I watch him evolve fight, I feel like he's a little overrated. I know he has a kickboxing background, decent grappler, wrestler, got a few submissions in there, but like every time I watch him fight, it's always a close fight. I feel like the only time he beat someone's ass was Dolidze. That's the only time. Cannonier at 38 was in a fight with him and got one of the worst robberies to an end of a fight I've ever seen.
I agree.
And then I don't know, he lost to Strickland, and y'all know how I feel about Strickland's
He did beat
potential.
Buckley.
He beat Buckley a long time ago, and I believe that was at middleweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have had to have been at middleweight. And Buckley's I think better, always gonna be better at welterweight. I think that was his real weight class. Um, I don't know, like stylistically, I think Imavov somewhat matches up well with Izzy, but I think he's gonna need to get takedowns in this fight to win. I think if he strictly goes at this from a kickboxing standpoint, I think he's gonna lose the battle. I think Izzy's just too slick. He's still very good. I mean, he was in that fight with Rodriguez. And Rodriguez definitely a good fighter, as sloppy as he looks. He's definitely a good fighter, and Izzy was starting to kind of pull away. It wasn't. We don't know what would have happened in the fifth. He ended it before the fifth, so that
I,
was all.
I guess we'll never know now.
Yeah, but I would take him, man. This is the easiest opponent I feel like Izzy's faced in a while,
Yeah.
and Brendan Allen took a round off him, and I think Brendan Allen's like the worst number 6 fighter in the world. So like, I would lean Izzy all day. I just think he wins the decision very handily.
Yeah, I agree. I think this being 5 rounds also favors Izzy. The only person I think Delice has ever gone 5 rounds with was oh no, he won 5 with Strickland, but was with Delice. And yeah, I think Izzy's just gonna be too much for him. Especially, yeah, the Izzy that showed up against DDP, it was damn near tied going to that 5th round until DDP caught him with that left hook and dropped and they like got him in the choke. So I'm gonna rock with Izzy. Losing to Imanov in this spot would be kind of catastrophic for Izzy's career, but we're all rocking with this last style bender.
Wait. I think that like I don't know if we ever like addressed it, but like we're supposed to be also talking about like how excited we are for it. Like I am definitely excited for this one. This is like one of the most anticipated fight nights I can ever remember.
Yeah, I love when you have a guy like Izzy, like, a former champion, a former damn near face of the sport, headlining a fight like this. It just makes it so hype. The co-main's also awesome. I would give this like,
Yeah, this is like an A. This is an A to me.
yeah,
A plus co-main main event to me
for a fight night, yeah, this is an A plus.
for a fight night
Yeah,
especially. Yeah.
and for oh no, go ahead, Clark. Why don't you know?
An A, 311 also an A
Yep, yeah,
plus.
I agree.
Then Duran Ribas, ooh, might be a D plus,
Yeah, not
folks.
even on some troll shit, like probably like D. And the co-main too just doesn't help. It doesn't move me at all.
No, I almost want to make it.
The Coleman, yeah, I might want to make it an F just because we're doing the combo.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
It's
you might be
probably like
right.
a D main event, but like Ponzinibbio, Carlson Harris as the co-main, like that's dog shit. That's dog
Yeah.
shit, bro.
So a week later after the Izzy fight, we get another banger. UFC 312, DDP versus Strickland 2. We got a little rivalry between these two, between Xavier and Clark. And then the co-main, we got Whaley versus Suarez. So another banger co-main combo.
Another rivalry. Because
Another
fuck
rivalry.
y'all. You guys know it's Whaley the long way.
Let's just start there. Xavier, give us your defense. And why are you excited for this matchup against Suarez?
I'm excited because this is where Whaley gets to earn her Shevchenko fight and prove the doubters wrong. The doubters being you guys, but also others, but also others. Um, to be like more serious though, Tatiana Suarez, like she definitely is a deserving contender, and like the hype behind her is like warranted. Um, if she didn't struggle with so many injuries, I think that she could be a little bit further ahead than she is right now. If she was a little bit more active, but alas, she has made it to her shot, her opportunity. Unfortunately, like I think that she probably beats damn near any of the last champs like that used to have the belt. I think she would probably bully Rose on the ground. I think that she would probably beat Esparza, out wrestle her, all of that. But unfortunately, this is Whaley, man. Whaley different, and I think that Whaley is going to be too strong for her. I think she's going to have too much cardio. I don't see. I think she's going to win in the striking pretty handily. Um, I think she can hold her own in the wrestling at least, especially enough to keep it on the feet where she can win in the striking. Keep the wrestling kind of 50-50 kind of, maybe even 60-40 Suarez, but either way, like I think she'll be able to I think the gap in the striking is wider than the grappling gap and strength advantage. And I think that once I see that like once Tatiana Suarez starts to kind of tire out, Whaley's just gonna start building uh down the stretch, and I think that she takes this fight. Like it might be competitive, especially early, but I think that the championship rounds like is where she's gonna like really establish the gap and retain here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm never gonna doubt Whaley's skills, and if she can, like, she can definitely win this fight. I just like the matchup for Tatiana Suarez. I liked a lot what I saw in the UFC 300 fight from Yan Janan when she took on Whaley, including the grappling in those areas where she was doing better at times than Whaley was. I mean, Whaley ultimately was winning most of the fight, but I mean, Yan Janan proved that I think Whaley is beatable. And I feel like if there's anyone right now in this division that's going to beat her, it's the dominant wrestler, grappler, the next Islam Makhachev in female form. Like, that's Tatiana Suarez right now. And I do agree on the feed. I feel like is Whaley's best path in this fight. Um, I definitely think she'll be a little quicker, better boxer, probably more on the calf kicks, but I do like Tatiana's stand-up game. I think she throws a nice body kick, a nice head kick. Very Islam-like in her stance. She moves around well. I don't think she'll be completely gone on the feet. Um, but I think she obviously needs to get this fight to the ground to win. And I just feel like she is the better wrestler. Like I just think she's got this weird strength for this division that I think everything I've seen leading up, especially she took 4 years off, and I definitely agree the injuries are a
Oh my
big,
God.
but I just I don't know, man. Something about Tatiana Suarez tells me like this is the time right now she's gonna win, and she's undefeated, man, undefeated.
Yeah. And also just recently Wei had I don't think really she's had the hardest competition. During her last three fights, she fought Jan Lemos and Carla Esparza, and she's been kind of inactive herself. Well, yeah, I just see Suarez winning this one. I don't know. I am worried about the injuries, not so much the inactivity, but the injuries specifically. But yeah, I think Suarez. It's just one of those things. Like I'm not gonna pick against her until I see her lose. And Wei Lee, we've seen some kinks in her armor. It's gonna be close, but I'm gonna rock with Suarez here.
It'll
I
be
will I will make you all eat crow the day after this fight happens.
well.
Just
What
for
if it's close and she pulls off a win? What are you gonna say? Because I think it'll be a close fight. Like,
I mean, like, okay, but I don't see it going that way. I think that like down the stretch is gonna be like Suarez getting pieced up.
I mean, I will say the only unproven thing about Suarez is she's never fought in a main event, I believe. I could be
Yeah, I don't
wrong.
think she's ever been five.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And especially like when you're getting, especially when you're in the wood chipper with Whaley, like those leg kicks are gonna start adding up. I think those body, I don't know, man. I think I see it going like she might finish her type shit. She might sub her, honestly. Like
Shit.
the more I'm like thinking about it, I just see her like being in the wood chipper too long. Like she's not gonna be able to like dominate like the fight with wrestling. Even if I think she can win some rounds maybe with wrestling, but I don't think that in the long haul that's gonna be the path. Like I don't see it, bro.
Okay.
But
I
it's
mean,
okay. It's
but I
okay.
think,
I respect your opinions though.
yeah, I just think Suarez is good enough down there to even get a sub on Whaley. I think she's just better in that area of wrestling and grappling.
Yeah.
Like, she's the first fighter I think Whaley has gone up against that has the advantage there very clearly.
We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
Okay.
Well, let's move on to the main event, guys. Rematch from last year, DDP versus Sean Strickland 2. DDP has beaten Izzy since. Strickland has beaten Costa since. I feel like this fight
Stop
is
it. I'm gonna go first and just take over here. We all know DDP is winning this fight. Like, come on now, y'all. Like,
Don't know that.
We do, we do. We saw the first fight. Strickland cowered away because he couldn't take someone pressuring him again. Like Strickland loses every time because he gets backed up by a fighter willing to go forward. Coastal lost that whole fight basically because he was just backing up and not throwing anything.
Anything.
That is true.
Like that's just how he lost. And like I feel like that's how Strickland's pressure is definitely good. I do think he has a good style for his cardio level. You know, he's got good cardio for sure. I just feel like it's the same thing as the first fight. I just think Dricus has a lot more in the toolbox. He throws a lot more kicks than Sean does. If Sean honestly goes in and kind of does what he did in the first fight, but just throw more teep kicks, I think he'll have a way better chance. But
Okay.
I just expect him to do the same thing. Like I expect him to just move forward, throw a jab, cross, little uppercut once in a while. Like it's just the same thing over and over again. And I just feel like DDP has felt the power now from the first fight. I think he's just gonna go in on him. I think he knocks him out like
Uh,
fourth round. I think it'll be later on, but
yeah, I'll just go next because I pretty much completely agree with you, Clark. I think it's just going to be a fight where DDP is way more aggressive. I don't know what things Strickland could change in his game plan. You kind of know what he's coming with. I think DDP is much harder hitter. I think he's more well-rounded, and I think he finishes him within 3 rounds in this fight. Bye bye Strickland. Sorry.
I'm gonna disagree with you guys. I could see Strickland getting the win, but I don't think that he's gonna finish Strickland. Um, I think that a big reason for like some of the less active rounds in their first fight was once Strickland got the cut, he kind of started to kind of like go into a shell and kind of like I think Drake has got like a takedown and he kind of just like he wasn't doing shit with it, but he was just kind of like Strickland wasn't doing his best to try to get up. He kept just kind of like trying to wipe the blood out of his eye and shit, and it's just kind of like he took some rounds off in that fight, and it like ultimately cost him. I think that Strickland's a smart guy. He knows like this might be his last like title opportunity if he like blows this one. It might not happen again. So, um, especially I think he's been in the gym with Hamza enough to know like that, like you're probably not beating that guy, man. He's probably gonna take you down and like sub you up. So I just feel like we might just see like a more carefree Strickland in this fight. I feel like it's kind of easier to be the challenger than the champion in general. To be the underdog versus like going in there defending your belt. I think that that's just harder. Like people gunning for you, you feeling the pressure of like being the champ. Like right now, I don't think that like Strickland like I don't want to say he doesn't care if he wins the fight, but like he's more carefree than when he had it. You know what I mean? I just think that there's just going to be a burden off of him, and he's going to take a few more risks. I don't think that he appreciates losing to Dricus, especially in a fight that was so close. So, I mean, I think he's gonna. I don't see him getting finished here, but and if he doesn't get cut, like who knows how this fight goes? Honestly, who knows? Because Dricus always gonna have his cardio issues. But in terms of like how excited I am for this, I really want to see Dricus Hamza at this point. Um, like it's way past due that Hamza gets his title shot, and this is just in the way just because they made like Strickland some promise back in the day when he fought Costa. So,
Yeah.
which I do like respect the UFC for kind of like starting to do that more, like actually like honor the agreements that they made. Because there was definitely a Wild West era where the UFC didn't give a fuck about what they promised you. Like it didn't mean shit actually. So I do like a feel good story for Strickland. Like the UFC actually gonna follow through with his word and give him a title shot. They know that they got like Hamza in the wing, so they don't really care. Squeeze a couple more dollars out of Strickland this rivalry. Um, but yeah, I would say like I'm about to be excited for this this main event, and then an A for Whaley Suarez. So I'll give it like a B plus for the card, like overall.
Yeah, I know everyone does just want to see DDP versus Hamza, but I think this title shot was warranted. The first fight was razor thin, could have gone either way. Strickland did pick up a dub, wasn't very impressive, but like the timing just worked out. Like, why not have this fight? And then the winner just fights Hamza. I don't see what all the issues are, but this combination, if 311's an A plus, an A, I'll give this a B plus A minus. Still a great combo.
I would give an A minus. I think just in terms of, at least for me, like, we got some bragging rights on the line here, so I'm very invested in this card. Let me tell you. For me, it's an A plus, just of how invested I am.
Yeah,
We
we're
should
gonna
do
have
another. We should do another fantasy draft before like all these cards start.
For sure.
oh yeah. It
2025
is a
fan.
new year. Yeah, you're right. It's a new year.
You can do it after this week because no good fighters are on.
That's true. Yeah, we're gonna have a little civil war in this card in the channel. But let's move on, guys. We're gonna skip this Cannoneer card just because it's not complete yet. We don't know what the co-main is. Plus, I'm sorry, it's just not that exciting. We're gonna move on. These fights were recently announced in Seattle, Washington. The main event will be Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. And the co-main, we got the return of Dominic Cruz taking on Rob Font. Curtis Blades, friend of the channel, is on the card fighting a mystery man. I don't really know who he is, to be honest. But we're here
Um,
to talk about the top two cards. Weird matchmaking, but I kind of like these fights. At least the main event. I like the main event.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to see Henry Cejudo get off his ass.
Yes.
Maybe that'll encourage Usman to get off his ass as well. So I support that for sure. The pound for pound boys got to fight. You know what I mean? Fuck it. So I respect him for getting off his ass, getting in there with a young killer like your dog, man. Henry's clearly not like resting on his laurels. Um, Fighting a Yadong. I feel like it's a good matchup. Um, it'll be a good test for like Yadong. I feel like we kind of say that about like all of his fights, but it's because he's just reached that level of the sport. He's a young man, but he's reached like the the pinnacle of the sport at this point. So like now, all the guys he's fighting is like a good test for where he's at. Um, and then it's also a good test for Henry Cejudo, man, because Yadong, he has good striking. He's good everywhere. He has youth on his side, explosivity on his side. I would say. I would probably say he's a better striker. Or it's at least close, but I think he has more like power at least in his striking. So this could be a banger of a fight, especially 5 rounds. Like both guys kind of known to fade down the stretch of 5 rounders, honestly. So it's like I don't know who I would give the cardio edge to. I'm guessing Yadong just because like of youth and shit, but and based on how Henry Cejudo looked kind of like getting like ragdolled by Marab, even though that is Marab, but like he was huffing and puffing pretty quick in that fight after like round one. So I don't know. Like I'm really excited for this main event. I would give this maybe I would give this an A for a fight night card. I'm not mad at this main event at all. Henry Cejudo, a big name. And then Dominic Cruz in the co-main, like the name value there is crazy as well. Like, then Rob Font, legend of the game. Um, he's clearly the least name out of the four here, but like either way, this like both of these fights are big for the division, I guess. The main event way more so than the co-main, but I'm interested to see Cruz get in there for maybe what might need to be his last fight, to be honest. So I'm gonna be rooting him on, hoping that he picks up a win against Rob Font, but to be honest, I don't know if I can favor him based on what I've seen lately and how old he is and like his inactivity. So I kind of am expecting Rob Font to beat him here, but I'm hoping that I am wrong.
Yeah, excitement wise, I'd probably give it like a B. I think it's a pretty good card overall. I'm not super excited about the Font Cruz fight. It's a nice little fight. I don't know. I have a bad feeling Cruz might just get picked apart in that fight. Just being too old at the break desk, out for. I mean, what was his last fight? Cheeto Vera. That was it.
I think so. I mean, I can double check.
It's Cheeto Vera. I mean, that's like what, 3 years at least ago.
Yeah,
It was, it was. It was
that's
2022
crazy.
August. Crazy.
Yeah, it's just that's so tough. I mean, so I'm not super excited about that, but the main event is good. I think this is definitely, young hungry contender versus old champion vet. Um Stylistically, I think it's a very interesting fight. Song Yadong is a very tough and mean riding fighter. I think he's just a beast when he gets in there. He has a lot of good energy, very good on the feet, a lot of pop from everywhere. And he fought well in his last fight. He lost to Peter Yan. I feel like Song is like almost there of cracking the top five. Like he's gotten so close to just almost being there. He
I mean, yeah,
just
what? He's only lost a Song, and I mean, he's only lost to what? Pewter and Corey?
in recent, yeah, in
Yeah,
the last
recently. Yeah,
years, yeah.
That's cream of the crop right there.
Mhm.
absolutely.
So like he definitely is just almost there. So I can see him winning this fight. I think this is an interesting matchup. I don't know how Cejudo will look. He's gonna need to get a takedown no matter what. Let me tell you.
So who do you mean?
Yeah, Cejudo.
Yeah.
If he does not, I think he gets knocked out in this fight somewhere. Like I think Song Yadong's just too fast, too skilled on the feet, very just fast combos and knockout capability. So I think Cejudo's just gonna have to grind him out. Obviously, I think that's his strat to win this fight, which he definitely can. Legend of the sport. You could make an argument, maybe a top 10, probably not, but like at least top 20 mixed martial artist ever. I don't know if I'd have him that high, but um, definitely UFC wise, a legend, one of few double champs ever. Um, he definitely could pull this through. Yeah, gold medals, all that stuff. He's a legend. I think he could definitely pull it off. But how old is he? Let's see, 37. I mean, not terrible, but he's getting his ass off the couch. Who knows if Ali Abdelaziz will even be there? He should, since he's managing all these guys' Twitters. He should be there, but who knows? But I just I don't even know who I lean. I'm not even gonna pick in this one. I kind of think Song Yadong might pull through here, but it's a 5 round fight. Cejudo's cardio isn't as good as it used to be. I'd probably lean Song, honestly, over a 5 round fight. Unless Cejudo just gets the takedowns easy, which it could be possible. I think Song sometimes rushes and gasses himself. I think it kind of depends which song we get. The more calculated, just slow starter song who picks him apart through 5 rounds, or the one that goes in crazy might get taken down like a bunch, like after the first round for the rest of the fight because he kind of blew his load out there. So it's kind of a 50-50. I don't know who I'd pick. I'd probably lean Song though.
Yeah, it's a really close one. I'm gonna slightly lean Cejudo. I think he'll be able to outlast Song. It'll be kind of similar to the Peter Yan fight with Yadong. And I know it was kind of he got memed on, but like Cejudo did okay against Marab. He did kind of decent. He won that first round. He rocked him. He was able to utilize his wrestling a little. He had that split decision loss versus Sterling, so he hasn't looked terrible recently. Song Yadong has looked really good. Keeps like fumbling at the top. I'm gonna slightly lean Cejudo.
I respect it. I do think that Yadong wins just on the striking. I just think that like a lot of what gasses him out is like being in there with like dangerous strikers, and I think that like the Cejudo striking shouldn't like threaten him as much as like especially as much as his last two opponents. So I think he'll be a lot more comfortable in there, and comfortability leads to better cardio. So
Also, it just sucks with Cejudo and Cruz. They kind of have similar stories. Just the time off, it just sucks, man. Cejudo or Cruz, it's kind of harder to predict what happened. I'm assuming it was injuries, but Cejudo, man, he like fake retired, wasted so much time, tried to get leverage or whatever, but no one cares about you, so you didn't get any leverage. Just
yeah,
wasted your career. Cruz, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. He's had an injury riddled career. Just his whole career has been fucked up with injury, so
yeah,
it's just cool to see them both. Or it's cool to see Cruz back at least.
yeah. It's cool to see them both back, man. And we gotta appreciate these legends while they're still here. You never know like how many more of these. Like honestly, I think this should be Cruz's last fight, and like.
It should.
While I still want to see Cejudo go on a little bit more, like you said, because he did like waste a couple years, so I don't think that like he's not an old 37, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like miles wise. He's like a young 37, so I think that he can squeeze a couple more fights out of his body, but for Dominic Cruz, he has done more than enough, and it's unfortunate that we didn't get more fights out of him, but like he still had a legendary career, all time great, and like he can hang it up and just full time be a commentator now.
Yeah.
Don't hold up ranking spots. Like
Yeah.
I'm for that.
And he's even still in the rankings is kind of crazy.
It's kind of fried, really.
Before we wrap it up, guys, give me out of the cards we discussed, which single fight are you guys most excited for?
Murab Umar.
Okay.
Murab
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go Whaley Suarez, and then after that, yeah, Marab Umar.
Okay. Hell yeah. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for watching our video. Please check out the TikTok in our previous video where we mapped out the fights we want to see for 2025. Let us know what you agree with and disagree with in the comments, how excited you guys are for these next upcoming cards. Once again, thank you so much for watching and giving us your time of the day. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.